this is Tata, and welcome not only to It's Wrestling Time, but to the WrestleManiacs podcast. That is right, we're live not only on my channel, but we're also live on A Plus Hero Report as we get ready for our first of 7 simulcast. Alongside me, it is fellow WrestleManiac, Josh.
All right, how you doing tonight, Tata? I think tonight was quite a night for sure, and definitely having this simulcast, I want to say dual cast, but simulcast definitely feels historic, especially for this WrestleMania week, the biggest WrestleMania of all time, the biggest, I think, live gate that Raw ever had, as well as, pretty good, interesting events tonight that we're going to be diving into tonight. So definitely feels like the right time for a simulcast, for sure.
Yeah, it definitely does. It is Monday, April 1st, 2024, and so that means we're going to be talking about Monday Night Raw. Now, before we get started, I just want to wish everybody a happy April Fool's Day.
Happy April Fool's Day. I've seen so many different things from MJF signing to WWE to ECW coming back in an MMA-style UFC event. I've seen so many different things. You don't know what to believe now, but definitely tonight, I don't want to put spoilers, but let's just say I now believe in a couple of things for sure.
Well, before we talk about tonight's main event, let's kick things off talking about the opening to Monday Night Raw, because that sure played a part into what happened in the main event. So The Rock went out there. He opened tonight's show. They were in Brooklyn. And I was thinking to myself, how the hell are they going to top last week's show? I mean, last week's show was freaking phenomenal. Yes. And they had a lot riding on them, So The Rock opened the show and he dead ass showed, because he was talking about the beatdown that he gave Cody Rhodes last week. And he straight out showed the reaction to that. It was 2 little kids crying. That was just cold-blooded.
My favorite line and the best starting, I think the best opening besides Welcome to Monday Night Raw, which I'm glad we didn't get, was I made that boy bleed. One of the best lines to start the show, and definitely showing the kids crying. I mean, and the best part after it was Uncle saying, let Uncle Rock tell you something. Don't be talking beep. I was, oh man, to me, that's classic good Rock, and, let it flow. I can't wait to see what Netflix is going to be like when we have the uncensored, really the uncut Raw coming out. Can you imagine?
I'm very curious too. So, last week when The Rock whispered him to Cody Rhodes, he finally confirmed that he did tell Cody Rhodes he was going to make him bleed, which he did. So, just the whole point of this is that Seth Rollins goes out there and he challenges The Rock or Roman Reigns to a fight, but of course neither of them accept, and so Sikoa steps up to the plate and he's gonna face Seth freaking Rollins in the main event in a blood rules match. And then we also find out Roman Reigns is going to be inducting Paul Heyman into the WWE Hall of Fame.
Right. What I loved about this segment, and I think I've noticed a little bit, is they're starting to give Solo finally, after seems like forever, being able to finally have some lines and not just, I'm going to beat you up. It's really, truly a promo now at this point, to where he's literally saying, I've got to do what I got to do. I mean, I go back to now, and again, I may jump back a little bit, but just his promo on SmackDown of saying, brother, I'll miss you, but I'm going to have to take you out, just like I was told. So to me, I think they're really starting the slow, I don't want to say Batista level burn, but you can tell that they're really starting to give him a lot of high-profile matches now to really test him after beating Cena months ago.
Jeff Meacham, whose name is not on the marquee, says he's not going to stick around because he's still watching Raw, so he doesn't want spoilers, but he couldn't show his support for the JML Multiverse Media, Mistress of the Spoken Word. Have a great show. Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks.
Yeah, for those who don't know, Raw is still airing on the West Coast. The only reason I'm able to talk about it is because I watch it on East Coast time.
Right. The sacrifices you make for us.
No, otherwise, if I watched it on West Coast time, we wouldn't be going live till 11 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, which would be 1 a.m. your time?
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. So
thank you for that. Again, sacrifice.
You're welcome. So the main event ended up being the Bloodline Rules match. It was Seth freaking Rollins versus Solo Sikoa, and I thought this was a good match. But it's not the match that had everybody talking. It's what happened during the match. I was going to say after, but this match technically never finished.
Right. I mean, there was the high spot of the Samoan drop onto the table for Seth Rollins. I thought it's pretty risky for WrestleMania coming up this week, but I have to highlight that was a pretty good, because I really expected a reversal into a power bomb for Solo, but Seth took it. So I got to give him kudos for that, especially this close to WrestleMania, because, something simple could hurt you that easy.
Yeah, I mean, the crowd was chanting for a table. They always chant for tables.
Always. With Brooklyn especially. I'm surprised they didn't ask for more.
Jeff says, shit, I prefer to watch it on EST, get my butt in bed sooner. Haha. Yeah, that's why I watch it on East Coast time. So we got a little preview of what would happen WrestleMania, because during this match, like, Jimmy came out and then Jay came out, but then The Rock tossed Jay like a rag doll.
Very much so.
And like, you had The Rock go into the ring and Rollins starts smiling, and then Cody came out to attack The Rock. You have to remember, at the beginning, they did say Cody Rhodes was not medically cleared to compete, so obviously, he wasn't supposed to be there. And let me see. Io says solo main eventing both are on SmackDown this week. Probably, yeah, probably is.
Sure.
So Rollins and Cody Rhodes supposedly set up this trap for The Rock, but it ended up backfiring on them. I mean, at the end, The Rock and Roman Reigns stood tall. The Rock holding the Nightmare belt and Roman's holding up his title. The Rock and Roman Reigns were whipping Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes with that weight belt. And I have to say, I don't know how you feel. See, poor Jay got eaten. Yes, he did.
That was perfect.
I don't know how you feel, but I honestly feel like Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes have not looked good at all during this build at all.
This just, it's like I said before, it's almost like if they've now figured out, oh, we need to book this to really get heat. To me, this heat should have been, I'm sorry, but it should have been.
I think you froze, or did I freeze? Well, yeah, I agree. This is how it should have been booked since the beginning. So, like, let me see. Because now I feel like they're doing all this stuff. They're doing it a little too late. Like, with The Rock beating Cody Rhodes up last week, and now this time they're whipping them. Like, this is the kind of stuff that they should have done since the beginning. Give me 1 second, guys. Okay. Oh, Josh went away. He's having some technical difficulties. Frozen. Yeah, he got frozen. I'll come back right now. But what did you guys think of this? Like, this is the second week in a row where The Rock basically... New profile pic for Josh, yeah. This is the second week in a row The Rock beats up Cody Rhodes. What did you guys think of that? This is like, and they have not looked good at all in this building. And they got to do something on SmackDown. They really do. I mean, I feel like this is kind of like a little bit of foreshadowing. I think that Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes are definitely losing. I know it's a good ending, but last week was better. I definitely do agree. Cody said taking all the L's during this angle. Yeah, they haven't looked good at all, if you ask me. They're definitely losing that tag match. Cody needs a miracle, and Avengers set miracle this weekend. He definitely does need the Avengers. I'm gonna do this one for right now. He definitely does need the Avengers assemble, which I feel like is gonna go down on Sunday. But aside from that, welcome
Sorry
back,
about that random glitch. I don't know what happened there. I lost Wi-Fi, but it's raining over here, so who knows? So hopefully I'll be able to
what it
run
is.
through. Sorry about that, guys. And yeah.
Okay, what were you saying?
I got to think about it now. No, I was just saying that this should have happened 2, 3, maybe a month ago. Building this heat. I mean, look, understandably, yes, Rock and Roman need heat going into WrestleMania, but this beatdown, to me, it's almost like they figured out, oh, we need an angle to kind of be able to make it seem like they're jerks. Well, you have people chanting for The Rock. What was it on SmackDown a couple of weeks ago? So to me, I've never had a reason to hate The Rock up until now. And at this point, I don't know. It feels as if they kind of botched the build up. To me, it's like it's not been this epic. Like, I want to see them fight. It's like, oh, they're going to be in a tag match. That's cool. I don't know. It just kind of seemed like they finally got on the rails, but it's almost too little, too late now. Because if Seth and Cody win, that's great, but
I don't think they're winning, but okay.
exactly. So it's kind of like it makes them look terrible all across the board because you can't have the heels outsmart the baby faces like that. You really just can't. It should have been Rock maybe got rock bottom through the table, and then Rock could have blamed Reigns. I told you shouldn't have left. You shouldn't have left. So now they look stupid by comparison.
Something's got to go down on SmackDown.
I hope so.
Io says Mama Rhodes needs to slap the taste out of The Rock. That has to happen.
Yes.
I agree. That has to happen. But yeah, the way it ended, Rock and Roman holding up the title and the strap, that's the WrestleMania Night 1 finish right there, if you ask me.
It has to be. I mean, because Cody has to saying, Hogan most posed, right? It's he has to overcome the odds that, are too great almost to where, I don't know. I mean, he'll finish the story, I guess, but I don't know. The buildup has just not been good. Like, I see that epic, like, WrestleMania trailer where they're standing across from each other, and I'm like, I don't feel it. It does not feel like a WrestleMania 40 build. This should have been totally different.
I think Rock and Roman know Payback was coming ASAP. That's why Roman pretended he was leaving. Yeah, that's true. And did you notice Roman tripped on the thing on the top of the announce table, and he did an arm drag?
Yep, I saw that. I mean, what the thing is too, I thought was interesting is during that whole entire beatdown, he said, "I've got a vice grip on this. You're not taking this now." And really, Roman can't, to me, at this point, be a heel anymore because, like, he's beaten everybody. And really, most people, besides maybe an interference here or there, he's really kind of proven himself as a premium commodity. I mean, unless we had Undertaker come back or something, who can you buy as a challenger now? I mean, they had to make a world title because they had nothing else better to do but to make a second world title. So, what do you do?
Michael says, I think Mama Rhodes will be present. She should be present. And like Io said, she needs to slap The Rock.
Michelle Rubio, because not Rhodes, which is still so weird to say that, but yeah, I get that.
All right. We got the DIY and New Day versus Judgment Day. And as we found out by commentary, Michael Cole confirmed that both titles will be hanging and the match will continue until both sets have been grabbed. So it's official. They are splitting the tag titles. I've been advocating. Josh, I don't know if you watch my streams, but everybody who's been watching my streams knows I've been advocating for them to split the tag titles for months now. Not only that, but I've also been advocating for new belts since they created new belts. Everybody got new belts except for the tag champs. We still stuck with the Raw and SmackDown belts. Hopefully, after WrestleMania, Raw gets the World Tag Titles, SmackDown gets the WWE Tag Titles. But it's about time. There's too many tag teams for them not to split the belts.
Oh, not on top of that. I mean, look, if you want to have the Judgment Day be the champions, I don't care. Have it to where Dom and JD want them just because why not? If you really want to have it. So now they're only SmackDown exclusive, Raw exclusive, whatever. But yeah, no, it needs to be done because I'm sorry, I've never liked those titles. They're ugly as sin to me. I hate them. They look like copper. They look like coins. I mean, it looks like your dime store, $15. I could get a belt looks better than that at Walmart. I mean, so to me, yes, they need new tag titles and they need to split them because otherwise, why have the brand split? I've been saying this for months. The brand split has not felt relevant since 2016, and that's vaguely relevant. So, I mean, yeah, you have to split them. I agree.
I also hope they'd be more consistent this time with Raw and SmackDown tag division. Same here, but it's like my issue that I had was even if they didn't split the tag titles, okay, fine. But you needed the tag team champions to bounce around from brand to brand. Judgment Day spend all their time on Raw. They hardly went to SmackDown. What I would have liked was them to do, let's say, for instance, Royal Rumble, they would have had a Raw feud. And then Elimination Chamber, they would have had a SmackDown feud. Yes. But they go back and forth. And maybe for like the big pay-per-views, like WrestleMania, SummerSlam, they do both Raw and SmackDown. That's what I would have. I wouldn't have mind that. But Judgment Day spent the majority of the time on Raw. They hardly went to SmackDown. So it was, to me, it's like, if you're going to do that, the team needs to be equally bounced around.
And the thing is, they had a history of that. Look at the Undisputed Champion back in 2002, where they had it to where Taker would be feuding when he was, let's say in June, right? He'd be feuding with, I think it was Triple H at the time on SmackDown, but then he also had Jeff Hardy he was fighting on Raw. So you had the champion feud in different locations and different places. So there should be no reason for them not to be. Do I buy Judgment Day versus Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate? Not really, because I mean, at this point, they're on Raw. They're fighting, Seth Rollins and Jey Uso, or I'm sorry, Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes. So you're telling me these other guys are a threat? I'm sorry, it hurts the division when they do that, and when they're not there all the time. It just, to me, it doesn't make sense. So I agree. Please flip the tag titles, please.
I also, speaking of Damien, he's AWOL anytime Seth is beaten up. That's true, he is. We'll see how that works out for him at WrestleMania.
Yeah, well, he did hint at it, and they were like, "Is something you're going to tell us, Priest?" So there was a lot going on in the show with Judgment Day too. We'll get into that later.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
So we had a whole segment with Chad Gable training Sami Zayn. This was great. I liked this. People were saying this was they were recreating Rocky 3. I've never seen any of the Rocky movies, so if they did, it totally slipped my mind.
They were. I mean, again, I kind of feel like Sami said what I was thinking in my head. Why are you making me work this hard days before I have to fight Gunther? Why are you trying to kill me? Now, granted, he had a good comeback and saying, he's not going to give you rest and stuff, but I don't know. I have this conspiracy theory that Chad Gable is going to turn heel, and I mean, I hope he joins Imperium because you know what? No one would see it coming.
We'll talk more about that during predictions.
Well, we'll talk about another segment later, too, with Sami that makes me think of that.
I think they are turning Gable heel. See, Michael agrees with you. They're turning Gable heel. I still think Gunther's retaining at WrestleMania, which is why they threw Sami Zayn in that role. Because if it would have been Chad Gable, he was definitely losing. But I think he's retaining.
I agree. I mean, again, Bastion Berlin tells me everything you need to know. When they announced that, I'm like, nope, Gunther's not losing. He'll be champion at least until that point.
So get the first of 2 Judgment Day segments. In this segment, Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley don't seem to be too happy that Legado del Fantasma shows up. And Damian Priest is going to make a call, and Rhea, it's just she's like, what's going on here? So I think they're hinting at Judgment Day being potentially splitting up.
But I like this because you rarely ever see, I mean, I cannot recall a time. I mean, and again, I'm sure that, YouTubers will find a segment that happened years ago, but it makes sense. Then they're asking, why are you getting involved in things that, really don't involve you? Why are you trying to get a part of Legado del Fantasma? There's no reason for it. So, I mean, to me, I love it that they're going to be feuding. Now, I don't know. Again, it seems strange, but I really like that there is tension because otherwise Judgment Day, most time they would act like, oh, well, that's fine. You did what you want to do. But you can tell that they're now starting to have this no leaders Judgment Day. But Rhea and Priest have been kind of having a little mini feud of their own of, who's going to make the calls at this point. And Balor's kind of just gone to the back of the line, really.
I have to say, just to talk about Legado del Fantasma real quick. Also, disappointed that we're not getting a faction versus faction feud between them and the LWO instead of getting just a regular tag match. You would think that would be better off for a faction versus faction.
Yeah, it was strange. I really didn't understand that because, I mean, to me, if you're going to add Dominic, right? I mean, Judgment Day, have Dominic and JD versus Dragon Lee. I mean, what's the difference going to be? Now, I love that they're going to have this Lucha Libre battle, but if you look on SmackDown, Dom made sense being in there to a degree because he's part of the Luchador family, but it almost feels like they're just forcing him in there because they want heat, and Santos, just for whatever reason, is not getting the heat that they're wanting. So I think this was kind of a Band-Aid for that feud. I really do. Unfortunately.
And speaking of Judgment Day, they had the second segment where basically Legado de Fantasma still backstage with Judgment Day. And Finn Balor is trying to tell JD to handle Ricochet because, they were watching the match. And guess who shows up? Andrade shows up. And basically, I like how Dominic introduces Andrade to Santos Escobar and vice versa, which I thought that was really cool. And then, as they're trying to shake hands, Rhea kind of interrupts and stuff because Becky's gonna go out there.
This segment hurt my brain, I have to admit. And again, this is gonna sound, I don't mean to sound what it's gonna sound like, but I'm just gonna say it. So Legado del Fantasma, right, is the embodiment of the luchadors, the embodiment of the Mexican culture, right? Spanish, Latin culture, Latinx culture, whatever you call it. I don't understand the idea of getting Andrade into the Judgment Day when you have the Legado right there. Now, again, I get it, but you would think that Santos would have been like, hey, man, no, you don't need to join Judgment Day. You need to join up with us. So I thought it was a weird segment that he's been trying to get him for weeks now, but I don't know. It just, for whatever reason, doesn't make sense for Andrade because I don't know who Andrade is. Is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? He shook hands in the segment saying, hey, I'll take care of Ricochet for you. So what is he? Is he a mercenary? What's the character?
He's tranquilo.
Yeah. See, again, I still don't get it. I want to get it, but I still have questions. But
maybe he's not trying to join Judgment Day. Maybe he's just trying to recruit Dominic. Who knows? We'll find out as weeks come.
That's true.
So we get Sami Zayn versus Bronson Reed. This is a rematch. If you remember last week, Gunther distracted Sami Zayn, costing him this match. Now, Sami Zayn was on a roll here, but then Gunther came out, tossed poor Chad Gable down the ramp. And then, Sami went to go help them. Gunther knocked down Sami Zayn, but Sami refused to stay down. And then he hit him with the belt, and he put his foot over on him, and he was just standing tall. And the match with him and Bronson Reed pretty much doesn't, I guess, ended. They didn't say, but...
Right. My problem with this, well, I'll say the problem with the segment is one, Bronson Reed disappeared. And, again, he's had beef with Gunther. He wants his IC title too. So why he didn't just, I don't care if he stood at the end of the ramp and just said, I got next or whatever. But again, I'm still buying into the conspiracy theory of Gable turning heel because you didn't really see Gunther beat him up. He just kind of carried him, tossed him, didn't really do much to him from what I recall, right? I don't think he kicked him. I don't think he did anything. No. He left him alone completely. Now, again, like I said, I could be just, could be nothing, but I thought it was strange that Gunther, being the heel in theory, should be, I don't know, beating up Gable, right? Instead of just bringing him out, tossing him out, and then attacking Zayn. Again, I like the segment of Zayn getting up and fighting back, but I don't know. There's always some reason for things. That's what I love about the Triple H era. There's always reasons for things, even though it may not make sense. There's little stuff that, it's almost like an Easter egg, right? If you don't pick up on it, it's fine. But if you do, you're like, oh, I knew there was something going on. So I don't know. It's just a weird thing. Why Chad Gable was knocked out already instead of being beaten up or powerbombed? Don't know. There's something to it, though, I think.
We get Ivy Nile and Maxxine Dupri versus Candice LeRae and Indi. This was a decent match. Maxxine Dupri getting her revenge on Candice LeRae after she drop kicked Indi and she crashed into Candice LeRae. And so Maxxine Dupri and Ivy Nile won. You have to remember, Candice LeRae's turning, I guess she's turning heel now. And she's heel and she yelled at Maxxine, making her cry. So this was a payback for her.
I hate to say this would have been so much better on NXT. The reason for that is I feel NXT, granted, again, gets into the characters, but I don't know Candice LeRae. I mean, I know her from NXT, right? I watched NXT. I know who she is, but it just feels so out of nowhere. And it feels so like, okay, Indi Hartwell is all well and good. I don't know. This match was not impressive to me. I I understand the story aspect of it, but I just don't think the crowd's buying into Candice LeRae all of a sudden being heel. Great and good, but is she going to turn Indi next because she's really frustrated with her? That's probably going to be the next piece that I guess we'll see.
I mean, she did yell at Indi, so it seems like that's where they're going. Michael says, good match between Sami and Bronson Reed.
But where is Johnny Gargano coming out saying, what are you doing? Why are you doing? Because that's his wife, right? You would think they would have had some involvement in DIY being like, look, you got to calm down. You got to do something. And look, I mean, they were in a faction together called The Way with Austin Theory. Again, I don't need Austin Theory involved, but why is Johnny Gargano just letting his wife be heel and be like, that's cool. Don't worry. I got the tag titles for WrestleMania. You do you, girl. I mean, I don't know. I just wanted some crossover more where we got a lot of that in NXT. So
I wasn't watching during that time of NXT. They need to reunite The Way.
Why not?
We have a quick segment with Seth Rollins and Jey Uso. Jey basically telling Rollins he got his back because Rollins had his back, which again which we already talked about, happened in the main event.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and again, it's something that, look, I love the backstage interviews where they're walking and talking. I love that whole entire aspect. I think it's really a cool thing to do. But OJ Uso, I don't know. I need something more. The whole I got you thing. That's cool. When he runs into Little Wayne later on and it's announced that he's going to have a single drop at WrestleMania, oh, well and good. But I don't know. I just feels like he's kind of becoming a second tier character now at this point. He's not as important as he used to be. And again, I didn't, besides the brawl at the end, there really was no other build up with the Jimmy and Jay feud. And that's a pretty big deal, brother versus brother. It only happens every 15 years, seems like. So, I mean, you got to put more into it. To me, I wanted promos of pictures of them looking together and say, we want to be tag team champions. I don't know. I didn't feel that brother versus brother hate that they've been building up. Like, we can't wait to have a match at WrestleMania. And I don't feel it. I just don't.
Oh my God. You're funny.
It just is what it is,
We got to talk about this Drew McIntyre unit that aired. My God, that was gold. He's dressed in a tux and he's on a casket. And this was gold. This was great. This was great. He makes references to CM Punk. He said, look in my eyes. What do you see?
Yes. Oh, it was masterfully done. I mean, again, and I didn't even know at first it was him. I mean, admittedly, but I mean, he talks about Punk being an old, fragile man, brought up the UFC, and literally said what the internet has been saying forever about Seth Rollins wanting to be Jared Leto's the Joker. I mean, and I love it because they're starting to cross lines, and Drew is, I hate to say it, Drew basically is trying to become not exactly Punk of yore, but really just kind of blurring those lines and saying things that most people wouldn't say about, Seth's trying to be the Joker. We're starting to get mainstream introductions now. So, very interesting.
Michael says that McIntyre segment was great. Yeah, it was fantastic. I mean, McIntyre's doing the best work of his career. This is the best run so far he's had in the WWE. I'm pulling for him to win at WrestleMania. I think he's going to win.
I hope there's a follow-up on Monday Night Raw. I hope he wins the title, and then we get him in a graveyard burying Seth's shirts in the dirt saying, I told you I'd kill you, but now I'm going to bury you even more. I buried you at WrestleMania, and here's the symbolic end of your career where that ended at WrestleMania. I mean, he'd be perfect. He can pull it off. He can do anything at this point now.
Yeah. We get Ricochet versus Ivar, which this was a great match. Great showcase by Ivar and Ricochet. I have to say, it seems over the last couple of weeks, they've been showcasing Ricochet a lot more, which is great, But it sucks that he's not going to be competing at WrestleMania. He's going to be in that Andre the Giant Battle Royal.
I thought it was interesting they showed this, and I wrote on my notes here that, showing that between those two, it makes me wonder if they're not going to have the underdog at this point win again, where Ricochet becomes Andre the Giant Memorial Champion or Ivar, because both of them have been doing great work. But that's the problem with Ricochet is he's really good. Again, obviously has, great moveset. I mean, fall away slam to Ivar was impressive enough. My gosh.
Yeah.
I could not believe seeing him do that and being able to do the ending. That was great. But Ivar losing, something we haven't seen recently. We've seen him win a lot more than we have lost. So I'm hoping this is not the end of Ivar's push because he's done phenomenal. But I need more, at least for me personally, from Ricochet. Like, yes, he's Mighty Mouse. He can do amazing things. But who is Ricochet? I know that Samantha Irvin's his wife. But what else is there? I want more depth. I want more meat on Ricochet's story. Like Ivar, I know he's a Viking, but I know that, he can do crazy stuff, but there's still a character there. So Ricochet coming back, great. I love the matches, definitely needed, but I need more story, at least for me.
We get a Becky Lynch promo where she's basically calling out Rhea. And like Adam Pearce is like, no, this is not going to happen. Adam Pearce has no control over Monday Night Raw. I mean, not to compare, but look at Nick Aldis. He has total control over SmackDown.
I'm hoping for an Adam Pearce just heel turn. He just loses his stuff and just like, I'm tired of everybody doing this. I'm tired of everybody, because to me, he's been so feckless the last couple of years, even with, Sonya Deville being the authority. To me, I get it that they're trying to give that dichotomy of, Raw is chaos, SmackDown's more kind of in control, but after a while, you got to have something. Even when the anonymous Raw general manager was in charge, I mean, at least everything stayed in order.
About that.
Right, exactly. Like Bruno, we don't talk about it, right? But still, it just, I got to have more from Pierce. I got to have him eventually get tired of being, ineffective. I need a strong authority character like Aldis, what they're trying to do with him.
Like, Rhea, she literally threw her belt at Pierce and ran after Becky. And they started fighting, and security had to separate them. They even fought backstage. But like, Adam Pierce, if he wasn't bald, he would have lost his hair already for all the chaos on Raw.
It made me think about toddler throwing a toy and then, distracting me while he runs into something else. That's literally what it was. I'm like, you fell for that? I mean, and again, I like the brawl. I do. But to me, again, last week, whenever Rhea mentioned Becky Lynch's kid, as soon as she said, "You're boom," that's when it should have been a big fight. Security runs out. They separate them. This week should have been a sit down, almost akin to Austin and Rock in 01 on SmackDown back then, saying, "I need to beat you, Rock. I need this more than anything you can ever imagine." That I would have had a better reaction to. I guess I would have loved to have a sit down with them two across the ring from each other, saying, "I'm going to beat you, Becky. I'm going to beat you, and I'm going to have your daughter cry. She's going to cry, and she's going to know who her mommy really is." And then you could have had the whole, everybody in between, right? That'd have been easier. But to me, this week was almost a week too late, seemed like. Especially on the podcast.
We get a 6-woman tag match. It's Damage Control with Io Sky versus Zoey Stark, Shayna Baszler, and Teagan Nox. Teagan Nox being in this made sense because she has a history with Dakota Kai.
Yeah, I at first thought it was weird, but then I remembered that they do have history, so I thought that was pretty good. I mean, the match was pretty good. I mean, it was your typical Damage Control. Again, please, 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 please. Just get rid of Dakota Kai. Have my triangle triad of terror with the Kabuki Warriors and Io Sky. Maybe bring in somebody else from Stardom. Let's just get this rolling because Dakota Kai to me still does not fit. I don't like it.
She's a mouthpiece for Damage Control.
Yeah, but that's the thing, though. I'd much rather have them speak Japanese and not knowing what they're saying, and then they kick your head off. I'd rather have that happen. I mean, at least Shinsuke does the whole, I think, at least there's subtitles. At least they're nice enough to subtitle his promo. Same thing. Why not, right?
That's true.
I don't know. Her scorpion kick's impressive, but I don't know. I never bought into Dakota Kai. It's like I always called her a mirror Bailey, like an evil heel version of Bailey with a mustache or something. That's what made me think of.
So last but certainly not least, we get a Seth Rollins interview. Basically, he says that he has a plan B in case things go south. And I like the fact that he runs into Drew McIntyre and he's like, I ain't dead yet. And then McIntyre's like, yet.
Again, I want to see a burial. I want to see Drew bury a t-shirt, bury that casket next week and say, "I told you I was going to bury you at WrestleMania. And now here's the proof. Your new world heavyweight champion. Drew McIntyre." It's got to be him holding the title over a grave. I mean, come on. And they pan and it says Seth Rollins WrestleMania Dreams. And maybe they have another one where it says Punk's WrestleMania Dream next to it. I mean, come on. You got to have that done. WWE's got the money. Just spend the money and put both of their dreams on a tombstone, on a headstone, and have him just hold the title over it. Why not? Trolling McIntyre would be perfect.
That is cold-blooded. You know that?
I know, but I love that though. Because he's what is it, the Scottish psychopath? That makes sense. Yeah. He's unhinged. And he was unhinged for a long time. And finally, I think he's finally found his stride. He was a good babyface in 2020, but where in the heck has this McIntyre been all this time? I'm glad he's back out, but man, I've missed this one.
Michael says, at first I thought it was the Undertaker standing near that casket.
I thought it was Bo Dallas.
I could see why you thought that.
I mean, as bad as that would have been. Yeah, right.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to stop there because we already talked about the main event. On a scale from a 1 to a Sean Spears perfect 10, what would you rank tonight's show?
Looking at it overall, I mean, I hate to say this, but the Raw before WrestleMania, I am not hyped. I felt it was maybe a 6. Not hyped at all. Just did not get me. I mean, the main event was good enough, but I don't know. I know WrestleMania is this week, but it doesn't feel like it.
Michael says he gives a 7 out of 10. Okay, so for me, I agree go-home shows a little harsher because I think the go-home shows need to give you excited. They need to sell you the pay-per-view. Mm-hmm. And I think that they had a lot of pressure on them writing on this week because last week was just fantastic.
Yes.
And there was no way they were going to be able to top that unless you had like Cody Rhodes throw the Rock into the East River or something. Which didn't happen. I was hoping it would happen.
The Rock should have bled a little. Somebody should have bled a little bit, just as bad. I guess, unless they're waiting for WrestleMania, which makes sense.
Mhm.
But to me,
It
there
was a
should have
decent
been
show,
something
though.
else.
It was a decent show, but last week's show was better. It definitely was. If this would have just been your run-of-the-mill Monday Night Raw, I probably would have given a 7. But because this is a go-home show, I cannot give it a 7. I have to give. I'm going to be a little generous and give it a 6.5. But aside from that, like, this did not. Aside from the main event and from like the ending, I really wasn't sold on WrestleMania.
But do you know what hurts them? I think if you looked at that schedule, they should Monday, Tuesday. I thought, my God, how in the heck is anybody going to keep up with that schedule? You got the Hall of Fame, you got the Slammies, you got the pre-show, you got the post-show, you got Pat McAfee show. I mean, there's so much content that, yes, it's great that they have that. But I mean, if you look at it from any other type of metric from an adult standpoint, kids could watch that. Teenagers could watch that and watch all those things. But as an adult, it's hard enough to watch Monday Night Raw and, keep up with it. So I think that's what's handcuffing them a little bit, is they have so many different events going on at the same time they have to promote, because now it's like WrestleMania. Oh, and then there's this. It's just too much now.
I'm old enough to remember when WrestleMania was just Raw, SmackDown, and the Hall of Fame.
And then you had Heat, and I do miss Heat and Velocity every once in a while. I do pine for those days.
And then they added NXT takeovers, and that was a nice schedule. And look at us now.
Too much. Hall of Fame's great. Slammies, I don't understand the point of the Slammies now. It's April. Why am I not having the Slammies on January 1? Why am I not having it on December 31st? Why the Slammies now? Is it really going to be that well? I don't know. I think that, they're going to oversaturate.
This Heat and Velocity.
Well, because that would be the go-home shows. Like Heat, I used to remember watching the Attitude Era. You would go see it. One, I love that the sets were already there. It was at the set that you could see what the set looked like. There was always a cliffhanger at the end. I just recently watched St. Valentine's Day Massacre 1998, just because, 99, just because I was bored one day. And I watched the Heat before, and I thought, my God, this is what sells the pay-per-view, because it made you say, oh my God, what happened? I've got to buy this pay-per-view right now. And so to me, I didn't feel it this week. I felt like they're going to oversaturate the market if they're not careful. And they've got to be careful with this.
Well, this is the first of our 7 shows together. So as we get ready to sign off, Josh, where can people find you?
Just on the X at X or Twitter, whatever you call it now, at Gamer Peroski. Only one out there. And I will be doing some more live tweeting at this point, getting back into the groove of things, doing that. And, definitely looking forward to our shows and NXT and all sorts of exciting things coming down the pipeline for sure for the WrestleMania X podcast piece.
That's my line, Josh.
Oh, okay. I'll let you have it. Sorry. Didn't mean to steal your thunder there.
It's okay. Good practice, though. Good practice.
Yeah.
All right, you guys. Thank you guys all so much for watching and for the continued support. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell so you get notified whenever I go live or whenever I release a new video. As far as tomorrow's concerned, we will be doing an NXT review exclusively over on A Plus Hero Report.
Yep.
Josh is going to take the mantle as host. I'll be his co-host. The reason why that's not going to be a simulcast is because I don't want to give people the false hope and aspirations. I'm going to be covering NXT on a weekly basis. And aside from that, the next time Josh and I will do a simulcast will be for SmackDown Go Home Show to WrestleMania. So until then, we'll see you guys tomorrow for NXT, and I'll see you guys Wednesday for AEW Dynamite.
See you soon.
Bye.